Did you like your gift, by the way? Asking for the friend who sent it. Oh wow, I wonder who could have that. I wonder who could have possibly done that. But yes, I did like the gift. I hope they give that us that I hope they give that us as a give us that as a jam track. Probably not though. When you think about the lyrics, they may be a little like, oh, they, they may be a little too unfamily friendly for the Fortnite peoples. So we may not get that. But love the possibility that it's even in the game.
You got to fool with niggas. I mean, nigga people.
Just who I was waiting for.
Oh,
We
Lord.
missing one person. And by one person, where is Shu? Because now, where's Shu? Where's Bushy? Actually, we're missing two people. Oh, not. Please don't get Twitch. Please don't take my account. I promise. But enough of that. Enough of the actual music. Um, Bushy is probably asleep, either from work or I don't know. He probably has. I know classes started, so I will email Jeff Bezzy my arm if I gotta. Let's not do all that. It'll take all that. That'll be fine. Um, we gotta remind ourselves that the target audience kids and not us in our 20 somethings and beyond. Yeah, it's very easy to forget that with certain games. Like I remember at one point I specifically only thought children played Fortnite, and now look at me. Look at me. I have been a fiend for that game for 2 years. Almost three. Preferably before the 12th. What happens on the 12th? The 12th of November or 12th of this month? What the fuck happened the 12th of this month? Is the season over? I thought it just started. Or is that when we get like the Megazord, however the hell you say that, the big Power Ranger mecha thing. New rival season? Oh, I love that for you. I honestly, truly do love that for you. Not for me, but for you, absolutely. Corpse, I'm gonna let you choose. Which route we going? We either going the complete opposite from here, or we're continuing. We'll go, or we go the route where we do not believe Iris and we don't get her ending. I want the giant woman so bad. I have no idea who the hell you're talking about. Don't believe her? Okay. Oh, wait, duh. Okay, hold on. No. Okay, I have to redo this. Leads open? Interesting. We're gonna have to do this again. Might. I'm looking up how to do this because I'm not. Let me forward the stuff in the server. Cause you know, like my brain just automatically like blocks out like 90% of the stuff related to Marvel Rivals. If I didn't see it like 17 times, I probably wouldn't have even known it was coming to the PlayStation 4. I just simply do not think of that game. I played it the one time when y'all asked, and that was it. Okay, so they want me to pick up the
This
pickaxe.
doesn't look like a pickaxe.
Pick it up. Dig at gate 2.
A door or...
I hate when they want you to mash the button.
I got
Like,
a rare
don't do that
material.
randomly.
We gotta find.
Dig at vending machine. Okay.
That's a big.
If you can hear me like smashing a button, it's required. Make something else. Oh, I kind of skipped that.
Fight nice with the power of dance.
Wait, no, I didn't mean to skip this. Oopsies. Let me look at the log. What just happened? Weren't we supposed to craft a disco ball? Yeah, it was bugging me. One moment. Done. Does this crafting table even do anything, really? The switch is done? What switch? Just watch. What are you doing, Date? Yeah, that part.
Date, don't listen to her. So, this is what nice looks like.
Oh!
This is what's behind all this.
Was Iris lying to me?
Nah.
I'm not lying! Project Bluebeam is using holograms to trick you! You can't let it fool you! You have to use the power of dance!
Girl, fuck you and your dance.
Oh, look at that! The enemies disappeared. Is this a glitch? I'm not lying! Please believe me, Date!
Excuse me. Okay. Dig at gate 3.
This appears to be another...
Do it.
Leave it to me. I dug it up. Got the material. Let's move on.
Like, what is the real problem?
This is a spacious area.
I actually don't know because the guide I'm using doesn't actually tell you what the hell's going on. It's just like, to progress the story, do this, this, and this in this order. That's it.
Is that marble?
Those flowers are winter irises.
They're wilted.
Whoa, this place is huge! How are we gonna check everything?
Which, like, in hindsight, I do
Maybe I
appreciate.
can make something with the materials I have. Okay? Okay! Another crafting table.
At least you don't have to do any more digging.
Date, do you see that shrine?
Shrine.
That's humanity's last hope against Nice. Save us from the oppression of technology. Return the stone monument to the pedestal at the shrine. We should have all the materials we need to craft the stone monument. Please, Date, you're the only one who can save me. You're the only one who can save this world.
Only me?
Date.
I'm the only one who can save her.
Hey, Date!
What?
I knew it. It's dangerous to do what Iris tells us.
I get what you're saying, but is it really dangerous?
Date, think rationally.
I don't know. It feels like her brain is literally warping his perception of reality. What if she's the leader of a cult?
Someone's there?
It says observe.
Who is this?
Futoshi?
That is not Mama.
Futoshi.
Can I talk to him?
Definitely Futoshi.
I heard that Futoshi left on a journey to Sri Lanka to cultivate tea leaves.
What? Really, Futoshi? You're just gonna leave Ikuno behind?
Someone's there? Excuse me, who are you? What the?
Oh.
Ah! That scared me. Why is there a monster in marble?
Hey, don't say that about Mama.
Oh, please.
Aiba did that shit so fast.
Is that this man?
Now.
What? You know him?
Not exactly. He is a familiar face that has appeared in many unrelated people's dreams. He is an urban legend of sorts. If you are interested, I can tell you more later.
I've never seen this man's face in my dreams before, but also I don't really dream of cohesive, like coherent shit.
No, that's okay.
You're a material?
Saw this man twice in Somnium. Alright, where to next? Craft an A at crafting table? Where's crafting table?
There's a crafting table here as well.
What is NA?
I see. You can take advantage of this glitch, Date.
Oh, we broke her mind.
I don't know anything about guitars.
I said glitch, not Gretch.
I can do that?
This game is filled with bugs and programming errors. We can take advantage of that to reveal things not supposed to be seen.
I see. Let's try it.
Understood. What? It spent the this man material. We can use you?
Is it a glitched skill?
Oh, I see.
How about that? Anything change?
The numbers have changed.
What, is it August 32nd?
No, the pickaxe is level 255.
That's pretty extreme.
But with this glitched item, we may be able to destroy something we were not supposed to be able to. Something in the game world. Or rather, something Iris doesn't want us to destroy.
Dig at shrine wall. Write a pedestal.
This is a strange wall. I see. I just need to use the pickaxe.
You're right. Do it.
Leave it to me.
Somniums in this game are so interesting. Damn, bitch! I was tapping slowly and then I realized how long
wall
this shit was gonna go
disappeared.
on.
The iris has bloomed?
No, this is no miracle. Merely the result of the game's programming changing the iris from wilted to bloom.
That can't be.
Date, what are you doing? What about the monument? What about fighting Nice?
Tell her that we have the strongest pickaxe. We don't need that. Let's continue.
Wait! Dante! No!
What's with this screen? Is it loading? Well, if you need to use the bathroom, now's the time.
Now it's not the time. Okay, maybe. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say maybe now was the time, but we're cool.
This is...
Golden Yokocho. Not the world of Shovelforge.
This might be Iris's real Somnium.
There's nothing here. We have no choice but to move forward.
Her real Somnium. What do you mean? What do you mean? To just pass the car, make a right. Boom.
What?
Into the gate at the end of the street. Okay.
Is this the exit? Let's go in.
What the fuck is going on in her mind?
We're back.
Hey, look.
What? A pyramid?
Nice is close. Dante, help me! Please!
Iris!
Let's help Iris. Let's help her by freeing her from her world of delusion.
Period.
Reveal the truth hiding inside her imagination, Date. A mirror door. But I'm not reflected in it. Well said, Date.
No, you can't! That mirror amplifies the power of dance!
Then I will do it.
Stop, please!
Ah!
What's really in your brain?
Is this Iris when she was a child?
What the fuck is going on here? That's just the kitchen light.
Iris, this is all in your head. You're imagining it. It's not real.
No, you're wrong, Date!
Iba,
What?
let's end this.
Yeah.
I knew it. This the girl got deeper issues going on. Ciao. Release Iris. Oopsies.
Believe me!
No.
Iba, that thing there. Destroy it.
No, stop!
Understood.
Please, stop!
Okay, up her apartment. Kid Iris. Look at her reading a little fucking conspiracy theory magazine. Awaken. You didn't believe Iris. Tuesday. I believe we were already on Tuesday. Maybe not. Maybe it was on Monday and it crossed over.
Okay, I think I got it. So it's like this. Date and Tessa were attacked at Golden Yokocho by a group of unknown gunmen?
No, not unknown. They were hired by Nizet Laws, also known as Nize.
Okay, can now can I just get back to the murders and run? I'm tired of running around with little girl with your therapist.
I found out Nize's secret, and now they want me dead.
Same. I also want to get back to, like, solving the murder.
Date, is this for real?
It's true that we were shot at by armed gunmen, but the Nyes part...
It's a lot of baloney. The sync earlier, it didn't prove Iris's story. It only made me more skeptical. Iris is lying, maybe even unknowingly. She believes that she's being targeted by Nyes. She sincerely does, but...
Date, you don't believe me?
Hell no. I thought about it carefully before answering.
Iris, let me be honest. I think you're letting your imagination get the better of you.
It's not my imagination.
Just my imagination.
Why don't you believe me?
Run away with me.
Date, you're just being stubborn. You're just a cynical old man who doesn't believe in anything.
I bet you still believe in Santa Claus.
Then you have to give me proof. If you can't show me proof, I can't believe you. Iris, seriously, you're imagining things.
Fine then. I'm stupid to think I could trust you, Date. Goodbye.
Oh my god, she's leaving! Sorry. Completely normal reaction. Iris stood up and walked away. Oh my god, she's gone! Period! What? Ah. Is there a problem?
Well, yeah. If you make her mad, you make me mad.
Well, I guess you'll have to be mad then. She had to hear the truth. The cold, hard truth.
Even if that's true, you could have worded it nicer. You could have handled this better, Date.
I think so as well. You are as clumsy as ever.
Date, you don't believe Tessa, right?
Hell no.
Right.
You don't believe Nizet Laws exists?
Nope.
No, I don't.
Then why was she almost kidnapped?
That is a question I don't have an answer to, but it's definitely not no fucking conspiracy group.
I don't know. But it might have something to do with Renju.
He was looking for Iris.
In any case, we don't know who's behind it.
You call him a freak asshole.
But we know she's in danger. Which is why I came here. I need you to hide Iris.
What?
I need to go somewhere.
Why are we trusting him? He left a 12-year-old at a murder scene.
To Hitomi's residence.
Yeah, I need to talk to her immediately.
Why are you trying to see some 17-year-old Kenny? Because he's a fucking weirdo. He's a creep. I hate him. I don't like his existence in this game. All the men are raggedy. There's not a single good man in this fucking game.
There's a room back there she kinda made her own. She's probably there.
She's certainly made herself at home. Has Iris been back there before?
Yeah, Tessa's been here a few times. Hide Iris? I mean, I don't mind, but... why here?
The organization that I'm in may have a traitor, so I can't take her to HQ.
Oh, I don't remember where exactly I came back into, so I'm not sure. Also, the stuff about Iris kind of reminds me of a movie where a kid got essayed, though although he could remember it, subconsciously blocked it out. He replaced the story with alien abduction, although he couldn't remember it. Noted. What movie is that? Put it in Discord. I want to know.
That, of course, means that I can't take her to my house either. So I thought this diner would be a good place. Her enemies wouldn't look for her here. If she's here with you guys, I know that she's safe.
Don't be weird. Don't. You immediately chose to be weird.
Wait, you guys?
Yeah, I'm expecting one more.
Mizuki?
Any minute now.
Mizuki?
Don't worry, I understand everything.
I love Mizuki.
I'll protect Iris.
Anyway, if they do manage to find her here, having Mizuki around should help, right?
Right.
See, you ain't gonna get no chance to be alone with her freak ass.
I know how strong she is.
Mm-hmm. She gonna box your ass up.
Good luck, you two.
Thanks, Date.
It is sad, but it's been dubbed as one of the most realistic depictions of the effects of sexual assault. Noted.
Date.
I'm sorry for coming so late. I need to talk to you about Iris.
What is it?
I stilled myself and continued.
Iris said something to me that was very concerning. She said she's being targeted by an organization called Nizatlaws, and that she needs help. Does any of this sound familiar?
I decided not to tell her about the shooting at Golden Yokocho. I didn't want her to worry. After a while, Hitomi spoke.
I didn't intend to hide it from you.
Hmm?
I just never found the right time.
Huh?
She's sick. Iris has a malignant brain tumor.
A brain tumor?
It makes her say strange things sometimes.
I see. Her delirium could be a result of a brain tumor. It can also cause hallucinations and violent thoughts. It makes sense. Everything Iris said was likely a result of her condition.
Iba summarized it so bluntly, so calmly, but I couldn't stay calm. The words malignant brain tumor circled in my mind. How long? Does it matter which fucking... Six
I
years?
found out in January.
Oh.
She suddenly collapsed at school. She went to the hospital and they examined her. They found a tumor. According to the doctor, surgery wouldn't help.
You mean?
Grade 4. Terminal. She has a year to live. at most. That's what the doctor told me. And if they were right, then she only has a few months left.
Because sometime real soon, I'm going to die.
This makes this scene a whole lot less, like, creepy. Girl, you're not a psychic if your doctor told you finna fucking die. Like, just because you didn't expand on it.
It's a brain tumor. It can cause a number of side effects. Nausea and dizziness. Sometimes her hands and legs go numb.
Mm.
Sometimes she can't control her body temperature.
No, but I am kind of warm.
What? That was all caused by her brain tumor?
Yes. She said she was staying with a friend. She's with Mizuki. But it still bothers me. I'm so worried that I couldn't sleep. I didn't tell her the specifics, but I'm sure she knows. Ordinary treatments won't work, but there is one way to save her life.
Which is?
A brain transplant.
Date, it's from Mizuki.
Why now? Sorry, could you excuse me?
Mizuki calling. I stood up and went to the corner of the room to answer Mizuki's call.
Date, I'm sorry.
Hmm?
What? What happened?
Iris,
She ran away?
she's gone. She disappeared. I only took my eyes off her for a second.
What? Where did she go?
I don't know. That's why I'm calling. But she left a note on the table. Oh, just sent you a picture. Did you get it?
I have it now. Opening.
I mean, Mizuki, you're 12. You did your best. Right, like, I'm not gonna get mad at Mizuki because she left. You got like 5 years on that girl. Like, please. Just because she can kick somebody's ass don't mean she's emotionally mature enough for all this shit. I'm going with the person I trust most. Please don't worry about me. Iris.
Iris.
God is crazy.
I have tried calling Iris with a different line. I cannot connect. It is probable that she turned her phone off.
Damn. Mizuki, let's split up and find her. Let Ota know too.
Got it.
Did something happen?
She was eavesdropping. Of course she was. You knew that she was with Mizuki and you was getting a call from Mizuki. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to connect the dots. No point hiding it. I told her that Iris was missing.
What?
Her polo ass probably finna have a heart attack. He told me it went quiet. Plus y'all in her crib, right? She didn't ask why she disappeared. I'm sure she thinks it's the tumor. She thinks that Iris's illness is making her go insane.
Iris said that she was going with somebody. With the person she trusts most.
I just realized who the person she trusts the most is, and it's
Any
Girl,
idea who that might be?
give it up. Give it the fuck up. She's pissing me off.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna go look for her.
I'll go too.
If the person that you trust the most is not your own goddamn mama, who do you think she trusts the most, Corpse? Just out of curiosity.
No, please, stay here. She might come home.
But
It's all right. I'll find her. Trust me.
okay.
The daddy?
Date, the person in Iris's letter. The one she trusts most.
Oh, the teacher? Hitomi is the teacher. Her mom is the teacher.
Who do you think that is? I see. The man Hitomi was dating 6 years ago.
He was a thoughtful, reliable man. I thought of him as a father.
But Iris said that she was looking for him. What are the odds she found him just now? I don't think that's possible.
Hmm.
Oh, yes, that must be it. Right now, Iris is heading home and we just missed her. No, Date. If that were the case, she wouldn't have written it like that. Think harder.
I just want to see the options. You ain't gotta be mean.
You can't be serious. Should I replay the conversation from earlier?
I was stupid to think I could trust you, Date. Bye.
Unfortunately, Iris has completely lost faith in you. There's no way she trusts you now. I think so too. Remember what Iris said?
I look up to him. He's done so much for me. I know I can rely on him more than anyone else.
According to the mermaid at Sunfish Pocket,
He was looking for Iris.
I think Renju called Iris.
And Iris went looking for him.
Exactly.
Then what can I do?
Mind you, because of the route we took, we did not see him not one time. We never made contact with him at all.
We've been looking for Renju. Everyone at HQ is looking for him too. Not to mention he's on the run with number 89. And even with all of that, we haven't found him. We don't even have any leads.
If we only had some clues to work with.
Then we wouldn't be in this mess.
Are you giving up?
You rediscovering that.
Iris might be with number 89 at this very moment. We need to find her immediately. Now think, Date. Where would Renju go? Renju's house is currently occupied by officers from HQ. If he went back there, we would have been contacted. It's true that they've known each other for some time, but when we went to the house, he was not there. Ota already searched Sunfish Pocket.
It's open for business. However, Iris was not there. I didn't ask about Renju, but I am sure that he would have told us. I got a call from Mizuki. She went to Lemniscate, but no one was there.
The cold storage warehouse. Maybe he's there.
Can I just say I'm tired of this warehouse already? And I know it's gonna come back up more. He whipped the hell out of that thing. You not gonna close the door? What if somebody just hop in and take your shit for a joyride?
There is no one here.
Damn. He's not here? Let's go, Iba.
Wait.
What's wrong? Is there someone here?
No living organisms detected.
Then...
No living organisms detected.
You mean...
Let's search the area. We might be able to find something.
Empty cardboard box. Bucket shelves. Forklift. Ice cutting machine. We don't want to examine the ice cutting machine a little bit more. A switchboard.
On Sunday night, you saw Iris's body here?
Yeah. Her dead body was right here on the workbench.
Nothing there. Nothing near. Is there anything else? I mean, there's the hook and this. Oh, look, X-ray. Isn't that lovely?
No. This can't be. Iris. Iris.
The case remains unsolved. Would you like to save? Anyways. That was that. We won't know peace actually. That path is locked. There are still mysteries left unsolved. The real culprit, the incident 6 years ago in Date's past. The story's branching points are insomnia. Locked. Can't do anything with that. Date's past? Date does not remember anything past 6 years. He only remembers the last 6 years. Anything prior to that, he does not remember. Alrighty. Here we go. Now I gotta go back up here because I actually don't know how to do the other part. This is like the beginning. This is like the first Somnium for real. Well, not the first one, but like the Mizuki one, when she was found and she wasn't doing anything. No, I've literally done like so many of them by now. Yeah. Okay, for flowchart, what day are we on right now? We're on day 2. We made it to day 6 here and day 5 here. We're back to day 2. So pretty much um erase like everything you could have possibly thought of regarding that other route. We're not doing that no more. Alrighty. Okay, I had to think pulled up just to remember so I don't end up doing the same thing I did to get me to this side. Because I don't think it tells you. Pull out the ice pick.
An ice pick Right. No one would want to see their mother like that. The pillar became a lightning rod.
Open the control room door.
The control room of the...
Oh, it has like a little thingy to show that you did it. Okay, so
A bird cage. There are ripped pieces of paper inside.
we want to use a timey to lift the cage.
All right, leave it to me. It is heavier than it looks.
Okay, now we're on this path. Cool.
Nothing happened.
All I did was move the cage. There are torn pieces of paper. Leave it to me. I enjoy puzzles like this. Done. But...
Sorry for the flashbang to everybody sitting in dark rooms.
You were able to get out?
So the photo was the key. I remember it clearly. One day I came home to find that photo torn up in the trash can. When I asked Mizuki about it, she started to cry. I don't know why she tore up that photo, but whatever her reason, it seems like she regrets it. Since we repaired the photo in Somnium, the bird cage.
Mizuki must be having a hard time.
But the cage is gone. We can get to Mizuki now.
Do you not see the horses spinning at hurricane speeds?
You can do it if you try a little.
No, you can't.
All right, fine. We have to stop the spinning.
Agent Date, you've got 5 minutes.
Oh god, I forgot Pewter was here. Right.
The panda head is spinning.
Hi, January K. How are you? Welcome in. Did you find me through the Somnium file thingy on Twitch? Let's see. Time me to stop. I mean, I guess it don't really matter.
Why?
Maybe it's like the speaker before.
I see. These were also linked.
I'm good. How are you? And yes, was browsing through the game category. Well, welcome in. My name is Jakara. Um, Playing the Somnium Files. I did watch gameplay of this like many years ago that I don't remember anything happening. So just pretty much going in blind at this point for real. This is our current uh flowchart. I did Iris's route first, and I kind of wish that wasn't the first route because it's like you go into a murder mystery game, and it's like okay, by like this point they stopped caring about the murders, and all of this was just like, well, we're here and we're doing things. We didn't really learn anything about the murder. You went on a right side first. I was going in completely blind until like maybe this point because I did this Somnium like 3 times and it was making me mad. So I had to look up a guy because I'm like, I'm not doing this again. So yeah, now we're trying to go to the red side instead of the blue one. And I also have a thingy here because these Somniums piss me off. I can still watch the content, but I'm not going to sit there and try to rack my brain about how they work either.
That's right.
Mizuki!
Let's go to her.
Got it.
Continue along the path to the third bench. And behind it, yay.
What is this?
Okay. And now, where's the entrance? Oh.
It's Mizuki!
Slap her? Slap her? Why would we do that? Wow.
Mizuki.
That's all she really needed. A hug. Thank you for the follow. Followers are anonymous, but if you would like to make yourself known, be my guest. Hope you enjoy your time here. She really did need that hug. Cause like your mom sucks. Your dad's not present. Your caretaker kind of sucks too. The only person in your life that is worth a damn is your teacher. Do you know how sad that is?
Are you okay?
Date.
Oh my gosh, she spoke. Damn, and
Looks
the
like
other
she can talk
one,
again.
she didn't say shit. After she had calmed down, I asked her a few questions. Oh, right. We couldn't even like progress like the plot with the murders because we had to freaking sit there and question Mizuki. But then by the time she was talking again, so much other things had happened that we just kind of it just kind of fell to the backside, which is crazy because it's like, do we no longer care that we're trying to solve the murder of her mom? Like, I don't understand, but okay. I asked her about last night, about the Naya message, about Ota, about Shoko. I know that Loki gave fuck her. It really did. I know that after Ota ran off, something must have happened to make Mizuki want to hide. She saw somebody in that bitch. Alright. I know you're going to be the thing.
How would I know? We still don't have enough information. Continue your investigation, Special Agent.
Does she do anything for real or just sit there and look cute?
No need to report specifics. We saw it all from here in the control room. What the Sinker sees in Somnium is projected here, remember? We've got it all recorded.
Isn't it incredible? I invented it.
Anyway, we know about the figure you saw. I wonder who that could be. Yeah, I'm glad she's talking again. You healed the wounds in her heart by syncing with her. Well, you meaning you and Iba.
The boss has extraordinary perception. I deserve much of the credit for helping Mizuki recover her voice.
All you did was follow my instructions.
Date, Mizuki needs you. Protect her. Right, there was something. Hey, Mizuki. When we found you, you were holding the ice pick, right? Can you tell us why?
When I got there, the ice pick was... It was stuck in my mom's eye. I couldn't think straight. The only thing I could think was... I had to get it out.
So, you panicked and pulled it out.
Yeah,
And you held on to it when you hid in the column.
yeah.
Okay, just one more question. This is very important. When you pulled out the ice pick, was Shoko's eye still there?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
The eye socket was empty.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mizuki. That was very helpful.
Boss shines in moments like this. She doesn't hesitate to ask anything.
Now we know that Mizuki did not remove the victim's eye,
When we got to the scene, it was definitely missing.
and it has not yet been recovered. We can therefore conclude it has been removed from the scene.
I also say, did I not ask him? Game?
Iba is linked to your brain with an artificial nerve.
Why did it take so long to to load that one singular question?
To put it more simply, Iba is a part of your brain. During syncing, your consciousness is sent into the subject's somnium. Part of Iba's self is also synced. But only a part. Not all of Iba's functions are transferred into Somnium.
So that's why Somnium Iba is so dumb.
Oh,
Don't call me dumb.
Hey, Pewter. When we were in Somnium earlier, Iba was in human form. She's never looked like that before.
That was Iba's idea.
What?
I thought you would be more pleased. I designed it to your taste.
What part of that was my taste?
I know everything inside your mind. You don't have to hide it.
Pewter, Iba's broken. She's talking crazy.
I am not broken.
Perhaps Iba admires the human form.
It's not that. It was just a little something. I consider Kaname Date to be my host. I owe him gratitude.
To be your host? You said that like a parasite.
I simply thought that appearance would make him happy.
Why would that make me happy?
In a normal dream, the person experiencing the dream cannot remove themselves from it. Dreams are first-person experiences. However, the circumstances are slightly different during a sync. The syncer dives into the subject's mind and experiences their subconscious thoughts. But this dream is experienced as an observer, as though you were watching a play. The subject is the author, director, and actor. The syncer is merely the audience. Oh, that. I saw it too.
Who or what do you think it was?
Most likely someone Mizuki saw in person projected into her subconscious. Dreams can only be constructed from images and experiences the subject was present for. Mizuki's Somnium couldn't have contained that figure if she didn't see it in person. Of course, not everything we see in our dreams looks exactly the same as it did in the real world. You saw some strange things in Somnium earlier, didn't you, Date? That event you experienced is obviously not as it happened in reality. Dreams are a collage of many memories, intertwining and blending with each other. Your skills as a syncer allow you to untangle those dreams and solve mysteries no one else can.
Pewter, who do you think the culprit is?
Well, let's see. Perhaps it was you, Special Agent Date.
What?
I'm kidding.
Are you? Alright. Let's ask how she's doing first.
I told you I'm fine.
Are you, girl?
So annoying.
Oh! Well, excuse the hell out of me.
I annoyed you already, huh?
The pressure is annoying.
What pressure?
Force over area measured in pascals, dummy.
What? Why the hell does she know that? She's 12. Interesting. Okay.
I see she is back to her usual self. Her attitude is within normal parameters.
How do you, why do you know how to measure pressure off the top of your head at 12 years old?
I think I liked her better when she was silent.
I'm fine now. But I didn't forget your promise.
I promise?
Sushi?
I literally Googled it, by the way. I literally Googled it. So I was just like, did she actually just, was that correct? She was. Very correct.
You said you'd take me.
So you heard that, huh?
Aphonia only affects speech. Her hearing should still be intact.
Sure, Mizuki. When we're all done here.
I need a nice, lovely scene with, Mizuki and Date eating a big old plate of sushi.
I. I can't tell you.
Please.
Why not?
Because I don't want to.
Mizuki.
That's not a reason. You were at the scene of the crime because of that Nile message. Whoever sent it to you is a prime suspect.
And that's why she doesn't want to say anything.
I don't think she is going to answer. When she is in a mood, it's impossible to get her to talk. That's the kind of girl she is.
Sometimes I think you know her better than I do.
How long do you think I've been observing her?
It's been 4 years now.
Correct. I know things that even you do not know.
Like? Actually, never mind. Some things I'm better off not knowing.
By the way, we already looked into Mizuki's cell phone. Unfortunately, the contents were wiped.
I'm tracing the sender of the Nile message through other means, but it's taking me some time.
Oh, also, how should I refer to you as? Should I refer to you as January or K? Or JK? January? January is more unique. Do you like sushi? Also, Corpse, do you like sushi? I feel like you've said you like you've mentioned liking sushi before, Corpse. January, J or JK is fine. I'm gonna go with January. Oopsies.
Say, Mizuki.
You love
Who was that
sushi?
figure I saw?
I think I've had sushi like maybe twice in my life. The idea of eating raw foods does not appease me. And I went to like we went to a Cape I was gonna say a K-pop place. It was a hot pot like Korean place. And then they had sushi there. And I'm not gonna lie, I cooked the sushi a little bit because I'm like, I don't like the idea of eating this raw.
What?
In Somnium, in your dream, I saw a silhouette.
I was just like, just a tiny bit, just burn it a little bit on the sides, and like just get, just to quail my heart. One of my best friends and I have gone to several of the same sushi chains in our state. We have a most to least favorite. I'll try sushi again one of these days. I'm trying to like expand the foods I eat. Slowly but surely. I think I've added 2 things in like the past year. Maybe get the deep fried rolls. Maybe. I just hope it don't come to like a texture problem. Cause it's just like ugh. If the deep fried rolls have like if it's squishy inside, I don't think I would like it. I don't like things that are like multiple textures. Like fried okra. Hate fried okra. The first time I had fried okra, I almost swung on somebody because I was like, what the hell am I feeling in my mouth right now? I thought it was just fucking dough all the way through, and it's not dough. What is this?
Date, Mizuki would not understand the question. She does not experience somnium as you do. You are witnessing a dream inside her brain.
Oh my god, y'all got Captain D's where y'all are? Is that a thing? Or Long John Silver's? We have not had a Long John Silver's over here. It's like one left over here. Don't nobody go to it though, for real. I don't know how that one's still around, but it's still here.
Never mind. Did you see anyone at the merry-go-round the night you found Shoko?
I did.
Hmm?
I saw someone.
Who did you see?
in the corner, past the merry-go-round.
Who did you see?
You don't know, do you?
I don't know. It was dark and raining. They looked scary, so I hid inside the merry-go-round.
Right, with the ice pick, because you was finna stab them if they came inside.
The door was open a little bit, so I snuck in.
The Long John Silver's is gone from my area. I think we do have a Captain D's. We got a Captain George's. Who the hell is Captain George? I also learned that our Captain D's, and like at least in this area, they had like a rebrand. So I don't even know if it's like Captain D's no more. But it's just like the fuck y'all got going on.
Anyway, I get the story. Mizuki witnessed a suspicious person at the scene, but she didn't get a good look at them.
It's a seafood buffet type of thing, though. Interesting. So like Golden Corral, but for seafood.
Maybe there's something at the scene we missed. Date, could you return to the scene of the crime? There might be more to Bloom Park than we first thought.
Oh my god, we're doing investigating? We're looking into the murder? Who would have thought? Imagine, I spent like 13 hours in this game just to still, like, at the end of a route, not even find out how she died for real. We didn't even find out the cause of death for real. When I returned to the scene, I brought Mizuki with me. I saw a suspicious figure in Somnium, but I couldn't be sure of its exact location. I brought Mizuki along to help pin it down.
Somewhere around here, right?
Yep.
Like, didn't even get a means to an ends with that one, which made it annoying. It really didn't. It was just like, oh, we believed her. She dies of a brain tumor after we gouge out her eyeball. So what now? Because no, we accomplished nothing. In the past, there would have been a nice paved path here. It's covered in brush and weeds now, but I can still make out the trail heading back. The figure went this way. Oh, we gouged out her eye. Mm-hmm. So, I don't... Were you here? So, like, you know the sync machine, right? The sync machine that they use. We learned... I don't know if you were here when we learned that there was a prototype that was stolen 6 years ago. We found where that prototype was. We used the prototype to enter Iris's Somnium for the final time because we thought if we saved her in the Somnium, we would be saving her in real life, like previously what we believed that when we entered Soul's Somnium and saved Iris, that we saved her in real life because we saw her dead body, and then next thing you know, we saved her in the Somnium and she was alive and well right after that. Did not happen. Also, to use the prototype, you have to connect to like the nerves through the eyeball. So like that whole socket, we just had to take her eyeball out, and she died anyway. So it's just like, well, now you don't got no eye and you're dead. So yeah. Also, sorry that I'm yawning in your ear. And she died anyway. She surely did. I'm also thinking now that we see how Now we've seen that like the prototype uses the eyeball, like you have to take the eyeball out to connect to the person. In the Somnium, I'm starting to think whoever is using the prototype, whoever stole the prototype, I'm pretty sure they're using it because it didn't look like it was like in disrepair or anything. Looked like it was in pretty good shape for something that was supposedly just sitting there for like 6 years. And Shoko is missing their eye. So I believe somebody got the eyeball somewhere because they synced with Shoko at some point. I don't know for why or for what. That is my current theory right now.
What do you care?
Mizuki, please.
You never cared about me ever.
He probably didn't. You're right. But please.
And I liked it that way. I don't want you getting close to me. You think I like you now because I hugged you after the sink? Did you think, aw, how sweet, she likes me?
Damn, Mizuki.
Don't get it twisted.
Oh.
I only hugged you because you were standing right in front of me. Could have been anything. Could have been a pole or a cactus.
Oh.
In fact, I wish it were a cactus.
Oh my god, Mizuki, please.
So stop worrying about me, okay?
So she says.
Why you gotta be so rude?
Yeah, I do.
What do you remember?
I went to this amusement park when I was little.
Right.
I was 4.
So 8 years ago?
I remember it so clearly. This is where I saw my mom and dad smile. I had so many happy memories here. The only happy memories I really have are from here. Memories of my family are so bright and colorful. But now, this is where Mom...
You saw that person standing here, right? A man?
Yeah,
What was he doing?
I don't know, it was dark. But I think
He was standing there menacingly.
he was watching me.
Oh, that's actually creepier.
He was standing there in the rain with no umbrella.
Yeah, that's really creepy. He was indeed standing there menacingly.
But I don't remember anything else. I got scared and went to hide inside the column. Nothing. Just wondering where this goes.
Iba, what's past here?
This leads to the subway.
A subway?
It has of course closed down. It is no longer in service. This is due to the explosion at the chemical plant that occurred years ago. The surrounding district of Kawasaki was contaminated and declared off limits. Bloom Park closed for the same reason, as did all commerce and industry in Kawasaki. This means the railroads and public transportation to and from this area were shut down as well.
The subway. Iba, does the entire track run underground?
No. The track leading northward from Bloom Park eventually rises to ground level.
At a railroad crossing?
Correct.
Then the tracks must cross a surface street at some point.
Correct.
A railroad crossing. Railroad crossing?
Iba, do me a favor. Can you see if any cars were driving on that surface street last night?
Searching.
Hey, you've been quiet for a long time. Are you okay?
I'm just thinking.
I've got something. I picked up a single vehicle traversing that street last night. A black SUV. I ran the plate through the vehicle registration database to find the owner.
Who was it?
Renju?
Shoko Nadami's ex-husband and Mizuki's father. Renju Okiura.
So let me get this straight.
So in this time, has he been hit by the damn Whatever hit him already? I don't think so.
You think that Daddy drove his car on the tracks through the tunnel, stopped at the closed down station, and carried Mom's body to the park?
I can't prove it was Renju. There's a chance someone else was driving the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, in any case, I know that the suspect must have used the subway tracks. That explains why there were no cars parked near the scene. Using that subway station, you could take the body right to the merry-go-round without being caught on camera.
Daddy didn't do it.
I am not so certain.
Either way, I have to talk to Renju, and you can help me find him. Hey Mizuki, tell me again. That person you saw at the merry-go-round.
No, it wasn't Daddy. I know it wasn't.
You're sure?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to anyone who thinks my daddy is a killer.
Look, I don't want to believe it either. I've known him for more than 5 years now. He's like family to me.
I'd never want to put cuffs on him. I would never want Mizuki to see that. Anyway, Renju isn't that kind of guy who will just commit a crime like this.
Mizuki, Renju sent you that Nile message, didn't he?
What?
I got this buddy of mine. Real bad personality, but real good with technology. I got some help from them.
Bad personality?
It was a message sent at 8:05 last night. Does it sound familiar? Mizuki, Daddy got caught up in something serious. Please come to Bloom Park's merry-go-round right away. Daddy needs your help. Please do as I say.
Yeah, that was it. It was from Daddy's phone. But I didn't want to say anything because that would make Daddy a suspect, so...
So you kept quiet.
Yeah. My dad's never said anything like that to me, ever. That he was counting on me? I had to go.
But you invited Ota along.
Bloom Park is in the middle of the Kawasaki district. There are a number of homeless individuals in a high crime rate there. Mizuki must have been worried about going alone.
But it couldn't be him.
Why not?
Daddy couldn't have sent the message. Someone else must have used his phone. And his car. Daddy wasn't driving the car either. Somebody else did it. The killer did it, not Daddy.
And if the killer is your dad?
The only evidence we have so far leads to one conclusion. The cell phone and the car were both operated by Renju Okiura.
I think about a week ago. When I went to hang out at Lemniscape.
Did you notice anything different about him?
Nothing really.
And he didn't come to see you in the hospital, did he?
No.
Not even for his own daughter.
That is very unusual.
I don't remember. It was a while ago. What about you?
What about me?
You try calling him.
I did. I called earlier, and I tried a few times last night.
And he didn't pick up?
No.
Date, incoming call from the boss.
Connected.
Hey, I just got the report from Iba. Renju is a suspect?
He's definitely suspicious.
I agree. I think he's our #1 suspect. He's been acting strange since last night. He didn't come see Mizuki in the hospital, won't pick up his phone, and he vanishes after questioning. He doesn't have an alibi for the time of the murder either.
He doesn't?
No, not one we can corroborate. Shoko's time of death was estimated to be about 5 p.m. yesterday. Renju claims that he was at home alone at the time, but that means no one can back up his story. He didn't give us any new information. He didn't have much to say at all, really.
So Renju was questioned at a local station?
That's right.
Then why didn't you keep him there?
Protocol. Nothing we could do. He wasn't a suspect then, and we had nothing to charge him with. No, I told you he vanished. Where are you headed?
Renju's house.
Don't bother. I had local cops search the place. They didn't find anything.
Where could he be?
That's all I can do. Just hang up.
All right, boss. Let me know if you find something.
You too. Keep me in the loop.
Where the hell did Renju go?
Sun poke?
What?
Sun poke. Or something.
Oh, Sunfish Pocket. Renju was telling me about that place. It's a maid cafe that he runs.
I found it. Approximately 6.2 miles north-northeast. In Akihabara.
We need Mizuki to get like, bitch, has this been here the whole time? Hello? Has this been here the whole time? For fucking 999? What? That's zero.
Can't be.
Damn.
Renju.
He didn't even have to do all that. Whoever the killer is, they didn't even have to do all that. Damn, she done seen not one, but both of her parents dead? Yeah. Them therapy, them therapy sessions gonna be expensive.
You look awful. Have you been sleeping any?
My best friend was murdered, boss. I don't have it in me to sleep right now.
Not sleeping's not gonna do you any good though. I'm sorry, I'm clicking everything because there's an achievement to do this. And I swear to God I clicked everything and it's not giving me the damn achievement. Like I did this shit the first time we was in here. Like why does she have so many things in her office? Good God. I know she explained it the first time, but jeez. taking a break from like the seriousness of this just to click 50 million things. See, I clicked everything, right? Bitch, there's a vent there. Can I not touch the streamers? We don't give a fuck about the streamers. There's nothing like highlighting green. There we go. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Of course not. I still got a mountain of work piled up, answering to the higher-ups, the press. I'm just taking a little breather. She's sleeping at the hospital. They're going to give her counseling after she wakes up.
I see.
Her mother and her father. I hope she'll be okay.
And not only that, within days of each other.
You were the first on the scene, so you know this better than anyone, but Renju was murdered.
Yeah, I don't think that was a suicide in the slightest.
No way this was a suicide.
Yeah, it's a pretty intricate suicide. That.
And the fact that his left eye was removed tells me that this was the same killer as Shoko.
The serial killer.
The new Cyclops killer.
What?
That's the nickname that's been spreading around headquarters.
New?
Yes, several years ago.
Cuter.
There is no point in hiding it from him. He would find out on his own eventually. It's all over the news. These murders have gone viral, so to speak. The killings from 6 years ago have continued. The Cyclops killer is back.
6 years ago? Is that what you were talking about, boss?
Fine. I suppose you deserve to know.
Also, it's like 11:39 p.m. Has everybody eaten? Have we hydrated? Are we still hydrating? Drinking water once is not staying hydrated. Take a sip. I'm gonna take a sip right now of water, nothing else. I should eat my muffin. Go ahead and eat your muffin.
We have a name for it down at HQ. The original Cyclops serial killings, to distinguish it from this new one. It was 6 years ago in October. 4 bodies were found in the mountains of Akikawa Valley.
But the decomposition of the corpses were all at different stages. They were each killed sometime during May to September of that year.
But they did have 2 things in common.
I'm actually gonna go to bed soon. No problem. I initially was gonna stop when I made it to a new day, and then like the day just kept going. Cause new body and everything.
They were all young women. And
each corpse was missing their right eyeball, pulled out posthumously.
a few days after the corpses were discovered, the killer sent a statement to the press. I killed them, and they are now my dear companions.
He signed the statement under the name Cyclops.
I'm so sorry. I clicked on accident because my finger just like twitched. I've been in the background playing a New York Times crossword puzzle. Interesting. Oh my god, we haven't done Spottle in like a couple days.
Hence the name, the Cyclops Killer.
The Cyclops is a mythological race of one-eyed giants. According to Greek myth, they are the children of Uranus, god of the sky, and Gaia, goddess of earth. Cyclopes were known for their outstanding strength and smithing ability.
So the letter to the press wasn't a fake? It was the real killer?
Yes, it had to be.
A picture of one of the victims right after she was killed was sent along with the letter.
No, in 6 years we never got a single trace.
So maybe Cyclops is responsible for these murders as well.
No, that's impossible.
Why?
For one, the original Cyclops killer only killed women. Renju doesn't fit that profile. Second, all of the victims had their right eyes removed. But Shoko and Renju...
We're missing their left eye.
The timing of the eye removal is also inconsistent. The original Cyclops killer removed the eyes after the victims were killed. But Shoko and Renju were both still alive.
I feel like someone is like kidnapping them and using like the prototype sync machine to sync with them and find some kind of information in their mind. And if they, I was gonna say, if they find it, they'll keep them alive. But like, I'm assuming they're just gonna kill them regardless of if they find something or not.
But even so, you can't say for sure this isn't our guy. Maybe they're just doing things a little differently now. Or do you have another reason?
I'm sorry, Date, I can't say anymore.
Bullshit, you can't.
It's because we know about the prototype, and I'm pretty sure they know how that shit used to work, which is why they're not saying anything. But we know about it from the other routes.
It's a national secret.
How can it be a national secret?
Right. It was a prototype that was fucking stolen, and they never said anything about the shit getting stolen.
Date, please, forget about it. I told you already you don't need to know anything about that case to investigate this one. The criminal for this case and the case 6 years ago are not the same.
Iba, bring up all investigation records of the original Cyclops serial killings.
I already had a look through the database while you were talking. Unfortunately, I found no relevant information. I also did not discover anything of note on the internet. Only amateur theories, all lacking credibility and evidence.
Damn it.
Two murders, one right after the other. How could I not be? Am I not allowed to be here?
No, I didn't mean it like that.
I was here first. I was just talking to the boss about Renju's murder. Renju had his left eyeball removed.
Putting him on a hook is absolutely insane. That was so unnecessary. You could have just left his body on the floor somewhere. You could have put him in a trash can. You put him on a hook in a maid cafe.
Right. Shoko too.
So perhaps, Mr. Date, you are the killer. You're missing your left eye, so you steal them from others.
Don't piss me off, Peter.
I'm kidding. Only a joke.
I'm too tired for your jokes right now, Peter.
Actually, you lost your eye 6 years ago, correct?
Yes, but I don't remember anything from back then. I lost my eye and my memories.
I was transplanted into your empty eye socket a year later. We have been together for more than 5 years.
That's all we have for now.
All right.
Special Agent Date, we need you to continue your work.
Right. I think I'll head back to where Renju was found. Sunfish Pocket.
Date, you're exhausted. Why don't you get some sleep before you continue your investigation?
I'm fine. Let's go, Iba.
Understood.
Oh, I thought I was gonna stop there. They're like, you're going to Sunfish Pocket.
Date, the vehicle is accelerating 2% slower than usual.
Why do we have Mizuki? Come on, drop her off at somewhere else.
Did you put anything in the trunk?
No?
What about the back seat?
Back seat?
Oh, we didn't bring her on purpose. Got you.
Mizuki!
Hey, watch out! Eyes forward, stupid.
I love her. Mizuki climbed up to the front seat and sat in the passenger seat.
It wasn't locked, I just opened the door. I've been here for like 10 minutes. Why don't your doors have auto locks? I know you like old cars, but you gotta lock the doors.
You should be a little more apologetic for someone who just got caught breaking into my car.
Mizuki does raise a valid point.
Right. Because when when we found Iris in that other place, you literally just left the door to your car wide the hell open.
If you are not more serious about security, you should consider replacing the car altogether.
You too?
I ditched the hospital. They're probably freaking out over there right now.
I'm taking you back.
No, don't! Nothing will change if I stay at the hospital all day. You're going to investigate, right? Take me with you, I can help!
How is a little runt like you gonna be any help?
I'm Renju's daughter. Maybe I'll notice something you don't. Something only his daughter would know.
I don't know.
My daddy was killed. I can't just stay at the hospital.
Fine. But don't say I never did anything for you.
He is really bad at his job, and he keeps getting, like, run over by fucking little girls. Like, their will is stronger than his.
You're going to take me along?
Just promise not to interfere with the investigation.
Got it. Well, I can still talk this time. Maybe I'm just getting used to it.
Mizuki's psychological wounds have been healed by the sink.
Why haven't they fired him? Ciao.
If you have nothing to talk about, you don't have to say anything.
Fair enough.
You're an adult, shouldn't you know that already? If you start talking about the weather, it means you have nothing to say.
Damn. What a brat.
No, it's more like I don't like sitting still and moping all day. I've grown out of my brooding, pretentious teenager phase.
You're just entering it. You're 12.
Odd thing for a preteen to say.
Right.
Are you not aware of Mizuki's mental prowess? She is far more developed than her classmates.
I don't care.
She is even reading psychology papers by Alfred Adler.
You're still 12.
Sounds pretentious to me. Hey, about Renju. Do you have anything to tell me? Anything at all that might help?
Well, it's not about Daddy, but I heard from Daddy that Mom had a secret.
Hmm?
Shoko had a secret?
Did you know that Mom was the representative of an investment company?
Oh, the fraud. Got you, got you.
Yeah, I did.
That whole company was a big scam.
A scam?
Well, I don't know the details. They start up a company to get people to invest in it, then shut it down on purpose and keep the money.
Pyramid scheme? The pyramid scheme queen.
She got really rich like that.
Shoko did this?
Probably multiple
Yep.
times.
By herself?
No, dummy. Of Of course it was with other people. I saw gangsters there sometimes. If she ever got into trouble, she had them take care of it.
I am scanning all known crime databases, but I cannot find any reports referencing this. They must have been extraordinarily careful.
You were talking to yourself again. I heard you. It's creepy. You should cut that out.
I was talking to Aiba out loud before I noticed Mizuki in the car. Ah, that must be what she's referring to.
Mizuki is still unaware I exist?
Yeah, I know there's no reason to hide it, since she already knows about Abyss. But it's just hard to explain. I won't say anything yet.
Understood. But I am ready to be introduced at any time. Just let me know when the time is right.
It's not a proposal, no need to be so formal. Shit, I said that out loud.
Date, I think you should go to the hospital. I'm not okay.
So, you want to go back to the hospital? I'd be more than happy to drop you off.
That's not what I meant. Why are you always so pushy, Date?
I'm not pushy, I'm just worried.
You've got a weird way of showing it. Doesn't look like you're worried. You're just weird.
You've always got something smart to say, huh?
Again, I love Mizuki.
You're just like Renju.
Oh.
Date.
What about Daddy?
Nothing.
You have no tact, do you?
Not at all.
This is why you're single and always will be.
Oh. Well, not you got your shit. Not getting clocked by a 12-year-old about why you're single. Crazy work.
That's where you're wrong, kiddo. I look like a single father when you're around. Chicks love it.
Yeah, chicks love to see creepy old men hanging out with a 6th grader.
Oh.
Hey, what are you implying?
Ooh, did I make you mad? Now I'm stuck in a car with an angry old creepy pervert.
I am not an old creepy pervert. And even if you were my age, you're not my type.
No, stop. Switch the conversation. Switch the
Ew,
conversation.
I don't want to know about your type.
Hey, you started it.
Stupid old man.
Punk-ass kid.
Oh, punk ass kid is crazy. You're doing a 12-year-old that? Date. This is crazy. Mizuki and I walked back into Sunfish Pocket.
Ah, Detective Date. Good to see you, sir. And this is...
Have you looked through the case file yet?
Oh, I am so sorry. She's the victim's...
Yes. Please let us through.
Yeah, don't even say shit. Investigation time. Woo! What if I just said I'm gonna end right here at the investigation? Like, I ain't started yet. And there's lots of things. Lots of random little things to view. What time you on the bad corpse? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna keep going. I'll finish the investigation at the very minimum. And then I'll end, because I know these days in the game can be very long.
Is that a spear?
It more closely resembles a harpoon of sorts. I believe this is a trident.
Any chance this was used in the murder?
No, there are no traces of blood on the trident, and no indication that Renju was stabbed.
Must be okay.
The capacity of this oil drum is 200 liters. It weighs approximately 44 pounds when empty.
Why do we need to know that?
Let me check inside.
Watch.
What?
There's something inside.
I stepped up to the drum.
This is the oil drum.
This is the kind of oil drum that has a lid, right?
Correct.
Let's open it.
Let me click it.
This is the wristwatch Renju always wore.
That was given to him by his lover.
No doubt about it. But how did this get here?
Do I have to X-ray again, or is it cool now? Okay, it was cool. Cool. Chairs. Bullshit. I'm gonna get to this later. Notice anything strange?
You were telling me earlier that you could spot things only a daughter would know.
I know what I said. I'll tell you if I notice anything.
Okay. This place is up on the 2nd floor. Did they have to haul his body up here?
Nothing special.
Iba, did you get anything from the surveillance camera?
Unfortunately, no. All of the recordings from local surveillance equipment have been erased.
What about backups?
There are none. Nothing was uploaded to the cloud either.
No footage of the incident. We used an elevator to get up
can you check the
here.
operation records of this elevator?
Searching. Found it. The elevator records are sent automatically to building management. According to the record from yesterday, from 6:30 p.m. until the body was found, this elevator stopped on the 2nd floor only once. At 8:55 p.m., the weight of the car's cargo was approximately 310 pounds.
What are you staring at? Creeper.
I agree.
Damn, I can't look at the pictures? Alrighty. Oh, these are lights. Okay. What the hell happened here? Renju's corpse was hung up by 3 wires. The wires were tied to 3 kegs.
Each keg has a capacity of 20 liters. All 3 kegs were filled, in approximately 55 pounds each.
Each weigh 55 pounds when filled with water. Okay, hold on. Where's the calculator? Where's the calculator? We're doing math. So somebody went up with 310 pounds. It was 3 kegs. Each were 55 pounds. It's like 145 pounds.
What?
This is Kagami?
I was asking for your name.
My name is Kagami.
I haven't seen you in a while.
It's Kagami! Kagami?
The corpse was strung up near this counter.
The autopsy report indicates that the contents of the victim's intestines were excreted upon death.
I'm sorry?
but no traces of that have been found in the area nor on the corpse itself. This evidence makes it highly likely that Renju was killed somewhere else.
Okay.
It must have been considerably difficult to carry more than 150 pounds.
What do you mean?
Renju weighed approximately 158 pounds.
Approximately 158 pounds. That's about 13 pounds.
I can estimate a person's weight by analyzing their bone structure, muscle, and fat.
I didn't even mean to click on the counter. I meant to keep messing with Kagami.
I told you it's Kagami! I told you my name like 5 times!
Oh. I, of course, remembered his name. Let me ask. His name is engraved in my mind. His name is...
Hey, you. What's your name?
Seriously? It's Kagami. Stop bugging him, it's rude.
Excuse you? My best friend, Kagami and I are having a conversation.
Yeah, don't spoil our fun.
Not...
What?
Enjoyed a fulfilling chat with Kagami. That is so funny.
No, not these past few days.
I thought so. Once this is over, get some rest, alright?
You too, Detective Date.
Aiba, can you recall the
God
time
damn
we
it! I'm
discovered
keep
the
trying to
corpse?
click on Kagami, and I don't want to click the counter.
Of course.
Best NPC. Hold on.
No, we didn't find anything today.
Not another inspector. Anyways.
The time of discovery was 10:20 p.m. You of course already know this, but you and Mizuki were the first to discover Renju's corpse. The body was hanged from the ceiling, similar to how a fish would be. A thick hook was embedded in the upper jaw, and the wires connecting to the hook were strung up on one of the ceiling beams. There was also a hook on the other end of each wire. The 3 beer kegs were attached to these hooks. We have found no fingerprints.
There are deep impressions left on his neck. He was strangled?
Strangulation?
Correct. The face shows clear signs of congestion, along with petechia around the face and throat.
Petechia.
Both are clear evidence of asphyxiation.
Any indication of the murder weapon?
Most likely a twisted piece of cloth. The culprit approached Renju from behind and wrapped the cloth around his neck, choking him in an attempt to suffocate him.
In an attempt?
The specific cause of death is cerebral circulation failure due to vessel closure in the neck. Put more simply, the suspect strangled Renju to death from behind.
Do we have an estimated TOD?
Yesterday, around 8 p.m.
So Renji was murdered about 2 hours before Mizuki and I found the body.
Damn.
The autopsy report discovered the presence of benzodiazepine.
I know what that is. Hold on. My brain is slow. It's a muscle relaxer?
It is a common sedative. The dosage found
Okay.
in the victim's bloodstream was extremely high.
It was just like, I know that medication. Hold on. We had to study that.
It can be assumed that Renju's cognitive functions were heavily impaired before his death.
Imagine if I got that like so far wrong. It was just like, oh yeah, that's for something else. Good night. Good night, corpse. Have a now. Shaw, good night. This will be up there probably this specific stream will probably be there sometime on the weekend. I don't know. I haven't even downloaded like the last two because I've just been doing these like nightly and then stopping like right before I go to sleep, so I don't have time to sit there and wait for it to download and then upload and all that. So we'll see.
This case bears similarity to Shoko's. The left eyeball was removed while the victim was still alive.
I think we've checked everything we need to.
I agree. We should compile our evidence and inferences.
Mizuki, you ready to leave?
What? But we aren't done investigating.
What do you mean?
There are still people I want to talk to. Yeah. Daddy owned Lemniscate and Iris works for them. She used to work here too.
So she might know something.
I'll call her.
Mizuki tried calling Iris, but there was no answer. What if she's dead in this timeline?
Have any idea where she might be?
I don't know. Iris is into a lot of things. Yeah. Oda is in here all the time. He might know something. I'll call him.
Ota's phone is broken. He dropped it in a puddle.
Sounds like Ota. He's so clumsy.
We'd have to talk to him in person.
He's probably at Lemniscate or Matsushita Diner. Well, there is one place. Have you heard of Golden Yokocho in the entertainment district? Daddy used to go to a place called Marble a lot. Maybe they know something about him.
Lemniscate, Matsushita Diner, and Marble. Let's head out.
Okay.
Oh, they gave me a stopping place. Good. It's midnight. How long have I been live? Like 2 hours. It's not the worst. Not the worst timing. This is what the flowchart is looking like currently. This like going in like this, I don't, maybe that was like for real the end of it and there's like nothing that will connect it. I don't know what's going on here. It's completely locked. And I'm pretty sure I will have to do whatever's on this side before I can continue with this. That will be it for now. I do have to go to sleep. I don't really want to, but I have been pushing it like in terms of getting to work on time lately. And I have maintained with my schedule getting to work at 12 because I was just like, I don't want to work any whatchamacallit, any earlier than 12. Sorry. I didn't want to work any earlier than 12, but also if I start showing up late to 12, they're just going to be like, we can't have you here because that's the latest we can start at that job for being a full-time person. And I need that job. So I'm gonna take my ass to sleep.
Baby, won't you just really go ahead and just get the hell on and go ahead and hit the road, Jack, and get the fuck out of my face and just cry.
Where do you be coming from? It's like you have a sixth sense specifically for when I'm gonna take my ass to sleep. You come in and you leave that one singular link and then you leave. Just what I do. You aggravate me. But I just finished this county. Ooh. Tell me more. Or actually, you could say it in Discord, because if I stay on the screen, I'm not gonna lie. Hello? Transition? There we go. I don't like this town, the end. That is crazy. What did the town do to you? I know at that point in the game, if you finished it, a lot of things. But thank you for the stream. Thank you for coming in January. It was nice meeting you. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. Uh I would like to say I have a streaming schedule like recently, but it really is just like me coming home from work and then doing whatever for like an hour or so and then be like, okay, I'm gonna stream this game. Yesterday and like the day before, I was kind of getting tired of the game, not gonna lie, because it was a little too much errors. It was a lot of errors at one time, and I could not handle it. But right now, I should be fine. I just need to get better about like, going to sleep on time. And yeah, I have work tomorrow. I have work on Saturday too, from 9 to 3 Eastern Standard. And then I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do on Saturday. I have to rearrange my furniture actually. But yeah, thank you guys for coming in. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all the lurkers. Thank you to the people who chatted. And I suck at saying goodbyes, but I'm gonna shut the hell up and just go. Good night, y'all.